Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you. So what I want to talk to you about today is the relationship between testosterone levels and hair loss. Okay, now what exactly is male pattern baldness? That's going to answer some questions first off. Well, hair loss in males is often referred to as MPB or male pattern baldness. It's also known as androgenic alopecia. Now this affects like almost 40 million men in the United States. If cohort studies are used as a statistical measure, then that would be around roughly 73 to 75% of men. That's crazy. Now, white men are actually 4 times more likely to develop MPB than black men are. Now, by the age of 30% of white men have hair loss, and 50% by 50 years old, and almost up to 60% by 60 years old. Staggering, staggering. So, the rate of hair loss in MPB is going to be different from person to person. So I can't just say, oh, it's going to fall out this fast, this fast, this fast. It's different for everybody. But it does follow a typical pattern, and it takes around 15 to 25 years for complete hair loss to actually occur. Now, generally, it's going to start with like a reduced hairline or receding hairline at the sides of the head near a template in a wedge-shaped pattern. Now, as it progresses, thinning of the hair on top of the head, then, hair loss towards like the crown of the head is going to occur. So male hair loss can be coded using the Norwood scale. That's an entirely different topic. Now, it's not considered a medical problem unless it causes the person social stress, confidence issues, if it's premature or excessive, or it's associated with like an irregular pattern. So can high levels of testosterone actually affect baldness or cause it? Well, although testosterone is your main male androgenic hormone, for it to be able to do its actual job effectively and generate thick hair, it's got to be converted into DHT or dihydrotestosterone. Now, this is a hormone which is actually converted by an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase, and it's 5 times stronger than testosterone is. Now, men that go bald tend to have genetically higher levels of DHT, and they also tend to inherit hair follicles that are going to be, oversensitive to their hormones too. Now, their hair actually like miniaturizes or it shrinks, so it reduces its thickness and then growing potential. So, DHT acts as a barrier within the hair follicle, and it actually stops nutrients and growth proteins from attaching to it. So the hair is then going to get thinner and thinner until it's barely even visible. All right? Now, hair loss is going to occur when DHT levels reach a point when it inhibits hair growth and outweighs the body's ability to actually stimulate growth cycles within the follicle. So, let's talk about some myths here about testosterone and baldness. Now, it's now clear, after that explanation, that DHT, rather than testosterone, is the principal androgen responsible for male pattern hair loss. Now, there's a common misconception that hair loss is due to high levels of testosterone and that baldness is caused by testosterone somehow having the ability to forcibly throw out your hair. Now, in reality, practically every study investigating this has found that testosterone levels to be about the same, the only difference being the elevated DHT and sensitivity within the follicles. So, there's also an old wives' tale of hair loss being linked to higher levels of testosterone and that bald men are somewhat like men viral. Now, unfortunately, recent studies actually found that bald men appear to be no more viral than their, well-thatched contemporaries are. So, the genetic information that we gather from our parents contributes to hair follicles being oversensitive to DHT, not levels of testosterone in itself. If anything, the conversion of testosterone to DHT would actually mean a high DHT, low testosterone ratio. So, this was seen actually in a study that was done in the Journal of Experimental and Clinical Endocrinology and Diabetes. And they took about 40 men, and with actually having premature balding as defined by hair loss before the age of 30. Levels of testosterone were actually reduced, not elevated. So ultimately, it's really more about genetics than testosterone levels as to whether you'll develop male pattern baldness or not. So, in summary, male pattern baldness or androgenic alopecia is a common occurrence in men, okay, with over a quarter in their 30s experiencing hair loss, increasing to over half by 50 years old. Now, Old wives' tale suggests that hair loss is due to high levels of testosterone, but that's incorrect, as I pointed out. Men that actually suffer hair loss tend to actually inherit hair follicles that are oversensitive to an offset of testosterone called DHT. Now, for that reason, the cause of baldness is more genetically driven as opposed to anything else. Now, a quick note, steroids could elevate the loss of hair in those that are already sensitive to the effects of DHT due to the massive increase in circulating androgens. But in those that aren't, that's pretty minimal to no effect. So, that being said, www.elitefitness.com/videos is where you can see all of my new and old videos uploaded daily, uncut and uncensored. www.icearms.com/forums and dylan@icearms.com is where you can get me with all questions and comments. So that being said, stay tuned for plenty more to come. Dylan Gemelli, signing off.